Good morning, church. How are you? Good morning. I see everybody's getting coffee and snacks. The snacks are like top notch this Sunday. They're like full kolaches. It's great. You know what I mean? Yeah. We have a lot of great music we're going to be singing today, this morning together. And I'm super happy to see all of y'all. So if you'll stand as you're willing and able, let's get started. Let's start singing together. Let's do it. There is a longing in our hearts, oh Lord, for you to reveal yourself to us. There is a longing in our hearts for love we only find in you, our God. For justice, for freedom, for mercy, hear our prayer. Say hi, extend a warm welcome. Good morning.
Welcome again to 1010. And keep passing the peace. Go ahead and have a seat if you'd like. I'm Reverend Jessica Vaqueta. Welcome to worship today. We're so excited that you are here. If you haven't already, I hope everybody grabbed a Connect card on their way in. Lots of ways to connect on there. You can fill those out and write your name down, tear it off, turn it in, place it in the offering plate when you come forward later in the service to share in communion. There's also some QR codes on there that you can scan. One is for a sign-up Genius link on how you can serve in this service with communion and reading scripture and greeting and whatnot. We'll be adding some new dates to that soon for Advent, so keep your eye out. And then there's also a code on there you can scan where you can make an electronic gift to the ministry of the church, or you can place your gifts in the offering plates later in the service. And we have on the front of the card, you can write down any prayer concerns or requests you might have. We lift those up in prayer every single week and pray with you and for you throughout the week. And we invite you to share those during our time of communion. And you can also fill out a prayer request online or call the church anytime something comes up that you'd like us to know about and hold in prayer. If you did not get one of those Connect cards, we have those at the back center there, right underneath the back screen at our information table, where you can also sign up to serve that way. You can sign up to get on our outreach email list to learn about ways you can serve here in the church and throughout the community. And there's also some more Connect cards there that you can grab if you'd like. Also on your tables, there are little maroon attendance binders. Your presence is a gift, so we invite you to let us know that you're here and just, sign your name. If you feel comfortable, leave your email, and we'll get you added to our 1010 email list at the church, and then pass that to those around you. Thank you so much. You might have noticed that there are some other things scattered on your tables today. It is Celebration Sunday. So we are, did you go woo? Did I get a woo from Russ? Okay, a whistle. I thought it was a woo, Celebration Sunday. I'll woo for us. So we are so excited. This is our Commitment Sunday as part of our Cornerstone Capital campaign. And we have hoped that you've joined us in praying over the last several weeks about how and where God is calling you to give for this campaign. And I think we have that prayer, Austin. There you go. God, what do you want to do through me? This is the prayer we have been praying throughout this past month. And then during today's service, we hope you continue to think about that. And we will invite you, some of you, I see a couple cards are in our offering plates already, but we'll invite you to go ahead and think about the pledge you would like to make for the next 3 years for our Cornerstone Building campaign and fill that out. And then we will collect those cards. We invite everyone to bring those forward and place them in the offering plate during our time of communion with your other gifts, with your prayer concerns and whatnot. And if you're not ready to fill that out today, that's okay. You continue to pray about it and think about it, and you can turn that in whenever you're ready. And we ask that we all continue to pray for the ways that God is working through us and open ourselves up to the way God is working through us in the life of our community and in the world. So we go ahead and just take a moment if you hadn't and check those out. But for now, as we continue our time of worship, will you join me in a spirit of prayer? Loving God, we give you thanks for the night's rest and the new day and the opportunity to gather as your people. On this Celebration Sunday, we are so grateful for the many gifts that you have given us, and we are most grateful to be together, to sing, to laugh, to say hello, to meet someone new, to pray, to hear the gospel in new ways, to break bread together, and to carry your love out in the world. We pause and take a breath and breathe in your life-giving Spirit. As we open ourselves up to the ways your Spirit is living and moving and breathing among us today, we open ourselves up and give thanks for your love that holds us so closely. And as we celebrate that we can take the time to worship and to rest in your love, we acknowledge that there is so much hurt in our lives, in our world, in our global community. We lift up the people of Seoul following a tragic event over Halloween weekend. We lift up our neighbors that are still in the depths of hurricane recovery. We lift up those who are hungry, those who are thirsty, those who don't know where they will sleep tonight. God, may they know that you are ever close. May your Spirit be a source of comfort and peace and strength. And may your Spirit guide us in the ways of love that Jesus taught us, to care for those who are our neighbors, to care for the strangers, to welcome them in, to offer them food, clothing, and shelter. God, we ask these things and the things that have gone unsaid as we lift up now the prayer Jesus taught us to say. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Good morning. Oh, good morning. I am so excited about the positive response we have had to the Cornerstone campaign. I'm excited. We've had a great response. We've had 89 gifts totaling over $7.1 million. This is amazing. But friends, we can't stop now. Today is Commitment Sunday, and we are relying on you, your love of Christ in this church, and on your generous hearts to complete our goal. God, what do you want to do through me? Thank you.
I married a cheerleader, and she never had to use a microphone. This morning, I'd like to share a story of our personal pledgeship with you. When this campaign was just beginning years ago, Kathy Taylor, who was then the president of the Board of Stewards, approached Pat and I about funding the cost of the architectural drawings for the preliminary design of the Cornerstone Capital Campaign. We pondered this request, which would in fact mean giving by far the largest single gift of our lifetime to any organization. when we accepted this request, I asked Kathy to pass along to the board that this would serve as our gift for the Cornerstone campaign. After accepting the request from Russ to co-chair this campaign, Pat and I began to think, how could we give more? We decided that rather than leaving as much to the church in our will, we would give more of it now. This would mean we could hopefully live to see the benefits of the campaign through our children, our grandchildren, and the future members of UCC. After prayerful considerations, God, what do you want to do through me? We decided we could give more now rather than through our estate plan. Friends, we are near the end of the first part of this journey, that being our commitment to fund the investments. I would like to paraphrase a portion of the devotional journal today. You may recall a sermon preached at the beginning of our campaign by Reverend Steve Wild. About Reverend Steve Wild's sermon, about the sermons of the paralytic who was let down through the roof to see Jesus. As we begin to wind down our devotional journey of faith, some may be thinking, I can never do what the people in these stories have done. And yet the common thread for each story is simply the willingness to do their share, to pick up their corner of the mat and bring their church, their community, their friends, the world, into the healing presence of Jesus the Christ. Each of us has been blessed in different ways and to different levels. God simply asks us to pick up our corner. Remember this prayer: God, what would you want to do through me? Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to have you give it to him. Thank you. Good job. Thank you, Harold and Pat, not just for today, but for all you've done over the last several years. Absolutely. You have been a blessing to this congregation, and I am so thankful for all of your effort and for all your work. As JV and also the McElroys have mentioned, today's Commitment Sunday, Celebration Sunday, and in front of you there is a commitment card. Just a reminder that this is to be over and above your already regular giving to the church that supports the mission and the ministry of the church, because over the next 3 years, that work will need to continue. We need to continue to be the church at work in the world. And so this will be a 3-year commitment over and above what you already give to the church. As Pat said, we are already at the $7.1 million mark, which is a tremendous. There was a little dance that took place in my office on Friday when we hit that mode, and I was very excited. But it pales in comparison to how excited I am today. I have never been more proud to serve as the pastor of this congregation than I am today, as we take this incredibly bold step to become the church that we want to be even more like the church that we say we are. And today, with your generosity, with your commitment, with your faithfulness, we will serve the church for the next generation and for the generations to come. So, with that in mind, our scripture text this morning is from the book of Hebrews, and it's located at the end of Paul's letters. Paul was an apostle back in the early days that started writing to churches all over, and it was believed when they put the canon together, when they put the Bible together, that Paul wrote this, but most scholars believe that it wasn't Paul. It doesn't say that it was from Paul. It's not even a letter. Really, it's a sermon. It's a sermon that sort of talks about Jesus. And it says how we can get to know him better, how we can understand him better. Just prior to where we're going to pick up the sermon today that we're going to read from in just a minute, it says this. It defines what faith is, that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And then he goes on to list these examples, these people that have come before us, and says that these are people of great faith. Look at their examples. Look at the examples that they've set. And he lists people like Abel and Enoch and Noah and Abraham and Moses and the Israelite heroes, people like Gideon and Barak and Samson and David and Samuel and all the prophets. And it talks about how strong their faith was, and how they lived and how they tried to live with their lives in a way that would please God. And he also spoke about Jesus, the pioneer, the perfecter of our faith. But what I want you to notice in the text that we're going to hear, and it's only 2 verses, what I want you to notice is that it doesn't end with Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of faith, because it continues on in us. So Emily, will you come and read the text for us today?
A reading from Hebrews 12, 1 and 2. Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and the sin that clings so closely. And let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith, who for the sake of the joy that was set before him endured the cross, disregarding its shame, and has taken his seat at the right hand of the throne of God.
Thank you, Emily. So back in 1873, which is essentially 150 years ago next year, in Thorpe Spring, Texas, which was at that time just sort of a stagecoach stop in the western frontier, sort of a cattle town. It's about 40 miles southwest of here, down by Granbury. There were 2 brothers by the name of Addison and Randolph Clark. And they got together and they decided that they needed to start a school. These were ministers that were part of the Campbell Stone movement, and they wanted to start a school. And so on the first Monday in September 1873, they opened up a school that they called Adran, Addison and Randolph, Adran College for male and female. And there were 13 students on that first day. Within a year, though, their enrollment had jumped all the way up to 75 men and women. And within 5 years, enrollment swelled to 450 students. And with all of that momentum, with all that excitement, the Clarks, along with their spouses, they sold everything they have and poured it all into building a bigger school. Unfortunately, though, they still struggled. And enrollment sort of hovered right around 400 for the next several years. And they were never quite able to match income with expenditures. And so, sort of as a last-ditch effort in 1895, they decided to say goodbye to Thorpe Spring, and they moved to Waco, just down the road from Baylor University. I'm pausing here for somebody to boo. Nobody? Nobody? Nothing? Nothing? Thank you. But here's the thing that you need to know. Both in Thorpe Spring and in Waco, they were sort of on the outskirts of town. This was before there were cars and automobiles and that sort of thing. And so the students and the faculty and staff, they needed a place where they could have church. And so they started a university church, and it met there in the chapel, and they gathered together every Sunday. And it wasn't just the faculty, staff, and students, but also people from the local community, ranchers and farmers. They would come to be a part of that as well. In 1889, the university trustees voted to underwrite the salary of a full-time pastor of this budding congregation, and Colby D. Hall was called to serve. Anybody know Colby D. Hall? That's the girls' freshman dorm across the street. I didn't expect you to know him, actually, because that was but know the name, Colby D. Hall, freshman girls' dorm across the street. Now, some of us know what happened, though. In 1910, there was a mysterious fire that destroyed the campus there in Waco, and so this school that had been renamed as Texas Christian University a few years before, moved to Fort Worth, just a few miles down the road from Hell's Half Acre, which is now what we know to be downtown Fort Worth. Now, in 1917, that was in 1910. In 1917, the church officially organized, and there were 60 charter members at that time. And Walter P. Jennings was called as the pastor. And within a year, the church had grown from 60 members to 235 members, right? Things are going well. They started raising funds in order to build a beautiful Gothic-style building that would serve as the church. In 1925, TCU donated the land to this university church that has now been named University Christian Church. They donated the land at the northwest corner of Canty and South University, where we sit today. The letterhead of University Christian Church said this. It said, "The spiritual life is the soul and salvation of a university." April 2nd, 1929, there was a groundbreaking ceremony that laid the foundation of this Gothic-style church. It included people like Colby D. Hall, who now was, at that point, the dean of the faculty at Bright Divinity School, which is the seminary across the street. Also, it was Preston Gray that was the new senior minister at that time, and E.M. Waits, who was the president of TCU at the time. And they broke ground on this beautiful Gothic-style building. But remember, this is 1929. In April, a few months later, all hell breaks loose. The bottom falls out of the economy. So over the next couple of years, they reimagined and changed the idea behind this beautiful Gothic-style church to a more simple, less expensive Romanesque-style building, which is now what we have here. March 5th, 1933, a ceremony was held laying the cornerstone. You'll notice that is sort of the idea, the theme for our thing, the campaign. The cornerstone. The history books say that this ceremony in which they laid the cornerstone, the history book says that this occasion was, quote, more gladsome than elaborate. Now, keep in mind that that was March 5th, the very day that was Franklin Roosevelt's very first day in office. And in his first day, he called a secret special session of Congress together and ordered that all the banks in the United States be closed the next day to try and stave off the Great Depression. But yet, despite that, on that incredibly ominous day, the leaders of University Christian Church set forth this bold vision. They went ahead and laid this cornerstone that has blessed generations of believers who gathered for worship in this sacred space. Now, later that year, in 1933, September, a recent Bright graduate by the name of Perry Gresham was called to be the senior minister. And he was said to be this incredibly dynamic preacher. And over the next several years, membership grew to 700 members of this church. Now, lest too much credit be given to him, I have read that the growth of the church during that time, I think this is interesting, was attributed as much to his wife as it was to him. Because she dutifully served not just as the pastor's wife, but also the church secretary. And so I don't know what she did as secretary to grow the church, but something happened as the church secretary. It said that she served generously and expertly as the church secretary. 1940, Reverend Gresham was granted an 8-month leave to do graduate work at Columbia University. And while he was away, they brought in a young TCU professor by the name of Granville Walker to fill his preaching duties. Now, people were amazed by Granville Walker's preaching. Not only that, they were completely moved, and they were completely unaware at the time that later he would be called to be the senior minister at University Christian Church, where he would serve basically for the rest of his life. And he, with his wife Earlene by his side, Granville Walker began his ministry here in 1943 that would last until 1973, for 30 years. He essentially served this church. And it is said that in the span of that church, in the span of that 30 years, the church grew and became one of the flagship churches in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. Really, a lot of what Granville did. I would imagine, I can't tell you how many people in the 5 years that I've been here have come up to me and said, "Hi, my name's so-and-so. I've been a member here for 40 years. And they always add, "And Granville Walker baptized me." Or Granville Walker dedicated me. Or Granville Walker, there's always, it is hard for us to understate, to measure his reach and his influence. One of my favorite Granville Walker stories is in 1963, in November, he was invited to pray, to do the ending blessing at the Chamber of Commerce breakfast in November of 1963, at which would be President John F. Kennedy's last public remarks, because from that breakfast, he would go to Dallas to be part of that faithful motorcade. So what's interesting, though, about that story is that I went back and I actually watched the video of that breakfast, and there were hundreds of people. And there was this big head table that had all of the dignitaries, all of the important people in Fort Worth. And the mayor at the time, a guy by the name of Baird Friedman, whose wife, Corky, was a member here at University Christian Church until just a couple of years ago when she died. Baird Friedman, by the way, is the one who they named the tennis center after, because he used to love to play tennis. And yet, so when Baird Friedman, who was then the mayor of Fort Worth, stood up, he introduced all of the people, all of the dignitaries, and he would say, "This is so-and-so and so-and-so, and he is the CEO of Justin Boots, and this is so-and-so and so-and-so, and she is the CEO of General Dynamics," which probably didn't exist in 1963, but go with me. So he introduced all of these people, and then got to the end and said, "And of course, Dr. Walker," and went on with his remarks. Now, when I heard that story, I was mad. I was angry, because I'm the senior minister of University Christian Church. That would have been great publicity, right? This is Granville Walker. He's the senior minister at University Christian Church. Now, it was Newell Williams, who just recently retired as the president of Bright Divinity School, who told me that story. And I told him, I said, "That's not fair. Why did he say everybody else's?" And Newell stopped me and he says, "Russ, you're missing the point." In 1963, in the city of Fort Worth, Granville Walker needed no introduction. Dun, dun, dun. It was during his ministry, too, that the church building would expand not once but several times. The bell tower would be added, the education wing, the chapel, and eventually what is now known as Walker Hall. During the 1950s, there was a guy by the name of Ralph Stone who became the minister to students and youth, and there was a congregation of 600 TCU disciple students that would meet here every Sunday evening for worship. 600 disciples, college students, would meet here for years and years and years, and he would serve as the minister to students until 1976. In 1957, they did a campaign to create the organ in the sanctuary. And it says in the history books that there was so much enthusiasm and so much energy that children would come and empty out their piggy banks in the offering plates on Commitment Sunday. There was so much, and the organ was dedicated a year later. 1966, the sanctuary was expanded once again. They added a bunch of stained glass windows. In 1974, following Granville Walker's retirement, Albert Pennybacker was called to be the senior minister, and he would serve as the senior minister until 1990. Granville Walker sadly passed away on Thursday. Another one of those great giants in terms of University Christian Church. He will certainly be missed. It was Penny, along with Ralph Stone, who I mentioned a moment ago, that envisioned and initiated the Boar's Head Festival that'll take place coming up in a few months. It was also that time that Ron Shirey, who was the choral director at TCU, was hired to be to direct the choir, the sanctuary choir. Here's the thing. I could go on and on and on and talk about some of the incredible people that have served University Christian Church. I could go on and on and on and talk about clergy and lay people and all sorts of people, on and on and on. I haven't even begun to talk about people like Charles Dowell or Jan Miller, who died recently, who was the first woman to serve as the chair of the Board of Stewards. I haven't talked about Ron Flowers or Bill Tucker, whose life we celebrated this last week. I haven't talked about any of those people. There have been countless, hundreds, thousands of people whose fingerprints are all over this congregation. This congregation has this incredibly rich history filled with this amazing cloud of witnesses, as the letter to the Hebrews writes. This incredible cloud of witnesses, and they have shown us what it means to be people of faith, right? The way that they have lived out their faith has been an example for us, has been a witness for us, showed us that we are all children of God, that we are all loved as if we're the only ones on earth to be loved. Some years ago, there was a coach of the football team at Columbia University. His name was Lou Little, and he was the coach. And one year, there was a walk-on that came out for the football team who was small, slow, and didn't have a whole lot of talent. But yet, Coach Little kept him on the team because he had this incredible spirit. He had this amazing enthusiasm to play, and he worked harder than anybody else on the team. And so Coach Little kept him around in order to help build a sense of enthusiasm and excitement around the team. Over the course of that first season, Coach Little developed this incredible admiration for him, this affinity and this admiration. One of the things that he noticed is that he and his father had this really close relationship, and from time to time he would see them, and they would walk around campus, and they were always arm in arm. And he thought, wow, this is a guy that has this amazing relationship with his dad. Later that very same season, Coach Little got a phone call from that boy's family telling him that his father had died and asked Coach Little to tell him and to give him that news. Well, this young man went away to his father's funeral and came back on the Monday before the last game of the season. And he said, "Is there anything I can do for you? Anything at all, just name it." And this young man says, "I want to start on Saturday." Now, here's what you need to know is that was the last game of the season. The championship hung in the balance, right? This was the most important game of the entire season, right? They were 8-0. And yet here he is, and he made this promise. Anything at all. Coach, I want to start. And so they're starting was this undersized, slow, lack of talented player. And everybody else on the team says, why is he starting? This is the most important game. Why is he starting? Well, not only did he start, not only did he play the entire game, but he played with a spirit, with a tenacity, and he led the team in tackles and in yards gained and was the MVP of the game. After the game, Coach Little called him into his office and said, "Young man, what got into you today?" And he said, "You know how my dad and I used to walk around campus arm in arm? There's a secret that nobody else on campus knew, and that is the reason that we would walk arm in arm is because my dad was blind." And he said, "Coach, I played the way I played today because this was the first time in his life that he ever saw me play. It was the first time that he ever saw me play." this church has this incredible, rich history of welcoming, of reaching out and welcoming the stranger, of proclaiming the unconditional love of God to all people. For 150 years, this church has served as a light, as a beacon for God's gracious love, God's loving, generous love. And here's what I think, is that I think given everything that's going on in the world around us, given everything that's going on in the city of Fort Worth, the world needs our light now more than ever. They need, this city, this community, this world needs a place where people embody that generous love, that unconditional love, a place where they can encounter the goodness and the generosity of God. Here's the thing. We are all here in this place because of all of those people that I mentioned a moment ago. Of the work that they did, of the witness that they created, the example they set. Everything that is here, somebody else built and somebody else paid for. Everything that we have is here because somebody else came before us. There is, as we heard in the text just a minute ago, this great race before us. There are indeed challenges to face. But I want us to remember that we don't do that alone. Because over the years, there have been countless people, this great cloud of witnesses that have built this church, that have created this remarkable community of faith. And here's the thing. Like that kid's dad, they're watching us. They are watching us to see what we will do with this incredible church that they have provided for us. They are watching us to see what we will do with the foundation that they led. They are watching us to see what we will do in faith. They are watching us. And now it's our turn to live out those lessons so that the generations that will come after us will have what we have. Will have a witness, an example, someone to look forward to, a great cloud of witness. Now it's our turn to do for the next generation what the previous generation did for us. Church, today is Celebration Sunday. And now it's our turn. Will you pray with me? Eternal loving God, we give thanks for this incredible cloud of witness. Those people that have showed us, that have taught us what it means to be people of faith, what it means to be generous with resources, with love. They have shown us. And now, God, it's our turn to run the race that's been set before us, to create and to build on the legacy that has gone before us. God, grant us with a spirit of generosity and of strong faith. We pray this in the name of Jesus Christ, the perfecter of our faith. Amen.
Every day we go to war again. We assume we know so much more than them before we hear what they have to say. Headline breaks and we start to hate again, calling them names again. We give our peace away. I hope they see it, 'cause I want to see it. I hope we believe it. I want to see the love all Hope fades away, and then we know that there is pain within. We cannot medicate. Learn to feel, learn to begin again. Open our eyes again to see each other's pain. I hope they see it, 'cause I wanna see it. I hope we believe it. I wanna see the love all around you, all around you. I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you. I wanna see the love all around you, all around you. I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you.
Friends, today we've heard a lot about the history of this marvelous place. And throughout our history, we have gathered at this table. We have broken bread and we have poured wine and we have shared in this meal for all people. We've heard today there's a journey that's ahead of us, a journey that's going to need some sustenance for the excitement and challenges ahead. And today and always, we find that sustenance here at this table. We find God's love and God's grace poured out for all of us here in this place. So let us come and let us remember that on the night that Jesus was betrayed, he took a loaf of bread, blessed and broke it, and said, "Take and eat. This is my body broken for you." And in the same way, Jesus took a cup and he blessed it and he poured it and he gave it to his disciples, saying, "This is the blood of the new covenant poured out for everyone. As often as you eat of this bread and drink of this cup, do so in remembrance of me." At this time, I'd like to invite our servers forward. And I would like to remind all of you as you come forward to please bring any gifts you have, any joys or concerns that you'd like to put on your prayer card. And I would also invite you to bring up your Cornerstone campaign cards, and you can place them right here in these trays. Our bread today is gluten-free, our juice is non-alcoholic, and all are welcome. No matter if you're a member here, everyone is welcome at this table. So my friends, come and eat. Get sustenance for this journey.
All right, friends, we've reached the end. We finally gotten to the last time we will sing the series song for the last time in the service. Make sense? Good. Man, I know I've been making some real duds of jokes today, but I feel like y'all are a tough crowd this morning. Y'all, I'm really excited to sing this together because you guys sing it so well. You've learned it so well throughout this entire series. So this is the last time. Let's give it all we got, yeah? Yeah, stand as you're willing and able. Let's go for it. Love, come lighten my load. Love, come lighten my load. An empty heart is the heaviest weight to hold. Love, come lighten my load. Who do you love? Who do you love? Ask yourself, free yourself. Every love is one. Who do you love? Who do you love? Ask yourself, free yourself. Every love is one. Love, love, come lighten my load. Love, come lighten my load. Been lost so long, help me find the road. Love, come lighten my load. Who do you love? Who do you love? Ask yourself, free yourself. Every love is one. Who do you love? Who do you love? Ask yourself, free yourself. Every love is one. Love. Please take away my doubt. Please take away my fear. Please take away my foolish pride. Open up my hands, open my arms, open my eyes, open my heart up wide. Revolutions on the inside. Love, come lighten my load. Love, come lighten my load. An empty heart is the heaviest weight to hold. Love, come lighten my load. Okay, now you guys promised. This is the one. This is literally the last one. Who do you love? Who do you love? Yeah, ask yourself, free yourself. Every love is one. Who do you love? Who do you love? Ask yourself, free yourself. Every love is one. Love, love, come lighten my load. Sing it, y'all. Love, come lighten my load. Love, come lighten my load. Love, come lighten my load.
I thought we'd get one more. Amen. That is a fun song. So glad to see all your faces, that we were able to worship together today on this Celebration Sunday. Thank you for being here. Right now, following worship, we will be having a brunch outside. It's happening like on the first floor. I think all the spider donuts are gone from the back table, but there's going to be lots of good treats outside. So hopefully you can stay for a celebration brunch. Talk to some people you haven't been able to have a chance to fellowship with before, and let's break bread together again, right outside these doors. So because of our brunch, there is no youth Sunday school. I believe our young adults are going to brunch and then go to class, Austin? Yeah. Is that correct? And our Bridgers, hold on a second. I did not get a text back about our Bridgers. So Bridgers, let's brunch. Bridgers are going to brunch today. And if that changes, I will let you know. So sorry, Bridgers and youth are brunching, and young adults are brunching and then going. No post-worship conversation. We'll be brunching as well. Tonight, all of the Sunday evening programming is happening. Youth groups, the Bridge PM, centered for our college students at 7:30, so hopefully you can come back for that. And on this Celebration Sunday, we have one more thing to celebrate. Linnea, would you come forward, please? I would like to introduce you to our new Director of Youth Ministries, Linnea Blackmore. Welcome. Can we welcome Linnea? We are so excited you're here.
Well, I'm very big up on the screen, so that's a little intimidating, but I'm glad to be here.
Well, I hope that you can say hello to Linnea after worship and welcome her. And she will be at youth group tonight, right? Getting to know everybody. So youth, make sure you come back to hang out with Linnea. So friends, I hope as you leave this place that you know that you are born in love, by love, and for love, and that you carry that love and God's light out into the world. Go in peace after we sing.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord cause God's face to shine upon you. See God smile at just the thought of you. May God rule in every part of you, and peace be with you. Go in peace, enjoy some brunch, enjoy each other's company.